For anyone who doesn't know who you are, I'll do a little intro. Sarah is a psychologist and an executive coach, and she's really one of my favorite human beings in the whole world. She has spent her career working with some of the highest performing athletes, executives, creatives in the world, and I just really admire her and look up to her. We actually met right before COVID, so that was a while ago now.
I know.
Oh my gosh. When I got really obsessed with the concept and the science of flow, so I started studying with Sarah and Stephen Kotler with the Flow Research Collective. And honestly, that really changed kind of the course of my life and my career. So that was pretty cool. And I could talk to her forever about this stuff. So I'm very excited to have you here, Sarah.
Thank you. So good to be here. Who knew? I didn't even know there was yet another portal that I could have trouble getting into to do this kind of thing.
Right? I think Substack is still making this work. It's
It's great.
it's great.
And I read your Substacks all the time, as you know, because I
Mhm.
reply to them.
Every time. I'm very honored.
It's true almost every time. Yeah.
Well, I have so many questions. I am curious. So sometimes I come at these interviews like talking to the person living the thing, which you also live the thing, but you're also the expert on this stuff. So that's kind of the perspective that I am taking today. Because you just have so much wisdom when it comes to passion and flow and human performance and our potential. And curiosity, and curiosity is a huge thing for you. So I
It's
would
my
love to
primary
know.
drug of choice.
Yeah, I can't wait to dig more into that. But to start, I'm curious. I know we've talked about this a little before, but just as a refresher, you really, from what I know about you, you spent kind of years as a clinical therapist looking more at what holds people back. But then at some point, you pivoted to high performance. And can you talk a little bit about what made you make that switch?
Yeah, that shakeup.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was, kind of like a series of events. I am still a therapist, and I still have a very small private practice,
Mm.
but I will say what really changed over the decades was the way in which I approached our psychology, right?
Mm.
But, if you back up 10 years ago, I had a full-time I was living in Honolulu, Hawaii, and raising my family with my husband there, and, I had a really traditional therapeutic private practice. I saw people face to face, weekly, um, and, it was all, like, very high functioning people in the world there, and, at the time, I sort of felt it, like, the perceived experience that I had was I felt restless, and I felt really confined by the therapeutic, um, office, not by the therapeutic structure. I still, um like, my coaching practice follows the same principles that my therapeutic practice had in terms of confidentiality and all of that jazz. But just the frame of, like, we sit here, we do this at this time. Um, so that was sort of happening in the background. Then I had a number of clients and friends in the community in Hawaii who would say to me things like, I want you to bring what we talked about with the central nervous system and decision making, and I want you to bring that to my team. But when you're a therapist, you can never leave the office. So
Got it.
you can't leave the therapeutic frame ever. You can't even acknowledge your patients on the street for reasons of obvious, reasons to keep confidential that work. So, I would always decline that. But over the years, I sort of took it and was, using that curiosity muscle. And actually, then I found my way to what I'm doing now, really through peak performance and flow, kind
Mhm.
of just the way you're saying that you did. I'm embarrassed to say this. I was, um, I was probably 40
Mm.
when I discovered, so 11 years ago, I was 40 when I discovered positive psychology. So I went through a major US undergrad program as a psych major, a master's program, a 4-year doctorate, an internship, a postdoc, and a licensing exam. And I'd never heard the term. And so that really sort of blew it open wide for us. Our friend Scott Barry Kaufman,
Mm.
I started to really look at his work and the really like quirky, but so necessary. He turns every lens like 35 degrees off center and makes you sort of look at something from this other point of view. That kind of blew my mind wide open. And then it was like
Scott's
over
the
a series.
best.
It's the best, and he just naturally like, he's not trying to see things uniquely, like, that's just who he is as a person. Um, so all those things, Stephen, converged, and then sort of over this last, I'd say now over the last, say, 8 years, like, my practice is 90% what I call executive coaching, but, and 10% therapeutic. But kinda all
Mhm.
the first principles, like, in my core identity, I still, like, I still think like a shrink.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, positive psychology is not that old, so
No, it was the
it's
early
not like
2000s. To its credit, like, yeah, so it was the early 2000s, maybe 1997, 8, like, when I was a senior in
mm,
college and stuff. So it was in its infancy. I'd never taken a class on wellness. I had never taken a single class on, say, the 50-yard line from content to ecstasis or bliss, right? So I just didn't, other than living it and sort of knowing it when you
great.
feel it, I just didn't have the proficiency. So I went on this long journey of
Mm,
trying to simultaneously with my clients who were so, this is why I love my work so much. My people are the reason I can do my work because they are literally willing to evolve with me, you know?
mm,
So it was obvious when I was sort of trying to shift gears, and everybody came along for the adventure. Um, and we were learning it together. So,
mm,
and it's just been awesome. And now I'm like, um, I'm outside of the therapeutic setting, but I can still hold steady many of the principles of therapy that I think are so valuable.
mm. Yeah, it's amazing. I can see it in your face, like, you're lit up when you're talking about this stuff, so I love it.
Yeah, I love it.
I am curious from your perspective, like, what do you think about these words are kind of thrown around? You know, I love passion, but then there's purpose. And then where does curiosity fit into this? And where does flow fit into this? Like, how do they kind of work together? How do you think about them differently? And how do you see it
Hmm.
show up in your clients?
Yeah. Well, I think I guess I would say this. If we thought of them all as motivational fuels,
Mm,
they're all of the superior type
mm,
because they are intrinsic. They're inside of us, right? Purpose, mission, fuel, curiosity, flow. It's autotelic, right? They're all that intrinsic form of motivation. So I probably wouldn't get greedy. I'd be like, pick your poison. Like
mm,
whichever one for me, and I've told this before, at that period of time where I was feeling restless,
mm,
um, I made a conscious decision to not let go of curiosity,
mm,
to do whatever it took to stay in relationship to it, whatever it took from me to have it be something that I had access to, right? So, but could be purpose,
mm,
but it's intrinsic, it's evergreen, um, and they're all antidepressants. They're all forms of they're sources of agency and empowerment, and so you can't go wrong.
yeah. I think purpose, though, I don't know, like, push back, please. But
Please,
if I
yes.
to me, purpose feels like it's so heavy. Whereas curiosity, you can just be like, I am curious about this subject. Or passion, the way I look at it, it's like you can like pursue a passion of, I don't know, I picked up piano because I've always wanted to learn piano. It's not a big, heavy, like that's not my life's purpose. I know this. um, that's why I tend to like the other is a little bit more, at least as they're more accessible.
It's not as
Obviously, like, purpose is great. I love having purpose too. What do you I don't know,
yeah.
push back.
Yeah, no,
Hold on.
I like that. I mean, it's a great in an economy of energy,
Mm,
it's good to yeah, like, if your purpose vexes you,
mm,
um, don't stay on the couch.
yeah.
Like,
Find your
just then s
purpose, like
yeah, just go start with curiosity. Find anything you're interested in. Um, to me, the key is just start,
Mm,
and, like, a lot of the, like, "Well, should I start here or should I blah, blah, blah," is all, like, forms of procrastination. It's
yeah,
like, you just start with literally anything because action begets action. Um, obviously,
d
if you're somebody who, like, feels a real calling, use it.
absolutely.
Yeah, use it, it's great. Mine's always been curiosity. It's always available.
Mm. Do you feel like it needs to be in the lane though? Like, let's say someone is as career like, doesn't know what to do with their career, like, do they need to follow curiosities within that, or could it be something outside of that, um, and still have impact?
Yes. Yeah. I think you can do like, I know people who are having hard times in their career, but they start something outside, and that something outside becomes a protective mechanism through which the pressures over here are offset. And so, yeah, for sure. It really is an antidepressant
Well, that's Stephen Collar's whole thing is, like, find your primary flow activity, which for
and
him is
do it.
skiing,
Yes.
which is not his career, but it
Yeah, that's a
helped
great
everything in his life.
yeah, that's a great point. And in fact, I bet he would say that many of his books are a result of engaging in that activity.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Not directly. Like obviously he's not writing on the ski slopes, but he is doing all the other work that
Yeah,
comes with flow when you get in flow.
exactly.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, although he did write one book about skiing, "Nard
That's right.
Country."
Yeah.
I like that book a
Totally.
lot.
Yeah, well, that one's like a guide. That's
Yeah,
a
it's
step by step. If you can substitute that it's technically about skiing, it's really about, like, the architecture of curiosity and
exactly.
obsession. Yeah, totally. And so if you just, like, substitute out for whatever you're interested in,
Yeah.
you literally have a handbook. And in
The same with, like,
particular
the inner d game of tennis, like, I'm like, "Just insert
exactly.
whatever you like
Whatever
here,"
it
like,
is. Yes,
tennis.
exactly. Right, it's the inner game of X.
Exactly.
Yeah. You
Yeah.
fill in X. Yeah.
Um, I love that. Okay. I wanna talk about flow because we both love flow, and the recent my Sunday article on creative hangovers, you responded about how you said it was the tax that you pay for flow was having kind of a creative hangover the next day. I would love for you to kind of dig into that a little bit more.
Yeah.
Flow
I
cycle, all this fun stuff.
yeah, so, for the context you had sent out that you noticed that when you have, like, a great creative day and for anybody listening, fill in whatever that means for you.
Exactly.
It means a very particular thing for you, right? And so, and then the next day, you'd sort of be fried, right? You'd
Mhm.
be kind of fried, hungover, creative hangover.
The worst.
The worst,
Like,
where you can't have output, right? So, 2 things I would think about there. One is you may have overdone it the day before. So, that's where Stephen's rule like, one of the things when I first, discovered Stephen, I went to one of his Flow for Writers in San Francisco
mm,
years ago. It's
I
probably 10
love the flow for writers thing.
yeah,
So
it's my
good.
favorite. And he said this nugget, it was almost like an offhanded comment, but it, like, changed everything for me. He said, basically, when you're sort of working with the economics of flow, you should you should discipline yourself to get out of flow 20 minutes before it's sort of, the train enters the station, right? And I liked the way he said it, that there was like a discipline to this restraint.
It's
And
so hard to do in
it's
practice.
hard well, because it's that chemical cocktail is very flowy, and
It's so flowy.
yeah, it's sort of like cocaine. It's very it's hard to find casual cocaine users. right? Yeah.
Exactly.
So it's very hard to do. So that's the thing is sometimes the hangover is from overspending that creative budget. In
Mm,
which case, what we'll talk about related to the flow cycle really matters. But what I had said to you back was that I wrote that, I when I have huge creative days or stretches, if I'm with teams and we're on site and I'm immersed with them, you have days on end where you're sort of in this little world together and it's very flowy and you come out on the other end. And I sort of have built in over the years that the
mm,
day after very flowy days, I don't expect myself to produce anything from flow. Doesn't mean I stay in bed and, watch Netflix, but I sort of don't have huge creative endeavors on those
mm,
days. And I said, it's sort of, I see it as the tax to live the creative
mm.
life. It's like there are no anonymous deeds. So even um, something that feels great, like flow, costs us something. So
Yeah.
the
Yeah,
thing I
what do
would
you actually good.
yeah, what do you do to recover? So, like, the thing I would want people to think about is that, we have this cycle if you're thinking of living this creative life, and if we're talking about flow, and we have struggle, release, flow, which is the third of 4 cycles, and then we have recovery. And
Mhm.
oftentimes when people have that hangover, it's the body reminding them that you have to recover. Right? And it might be reminding you in particular that you overspent the day before.
Yeah.
But
How do you get people to
sometimes you'll find
shift?
well, I'll answer that in a second because 'cause I've never gotten anybody to do anything. They
Fair
gotta do
enough.
it
You can't
themselves. No,
force change.
no,
It's
it's
like
the
coaching
worst.
101, like
The worst reality is that I've never convinced anybody of anything, and
it's
I've
true.
never gotten anybody to change anything either. But, sometimes it's possible that you didn't overspend the day before and that's just the tax. That's the
Mhm.
recovery tax. So then the mindset becomes about paying back that debt of exertion. So on those recovery days, like, really dial in, like if you can get sunlight,
Mm,
if you can guard your sleep, if you can eat well, if you can exercise, if you can do some things to pay back that. And then the big thing is don't ask your brain to give you more flow that day. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
but for high achieving people who,
Yeah.
have creative or athletic endeavors or building something, man, that's so tough. It's
Yeah.
like
It's really hard.
yeah,
But
like
that's the
Stephen's
journey.
point is the discipline. It's really is like you have to tell yourself that it is part of it and that it is like non-negotiable. It's
Yeah. You don't,
so easy not to.
yeah, you don't
Like,
negotiate with hostage takers. Exactly. The other thing to think about with discipline, I think, is
mm,
that there's the discipline of exertion, like, "Oh, I have to go do X, Y, and Z." But my experience with humans is that we're really good at exertion. And the crowd that I hang with is great at doing. But the harder discipline for us is in restraint.
yeah,
So stopping doing something that the technical term is egosyntonic, meaning we're okay with it, right?
right.
Um, so it's to me, I like it better than saying that it feels good because sometimes we have a
Mm,
hard time stopping something that even doesn't feel good, but it's still egosyntonic with us, right? So exercise
sure.
is a great example.
Hey, I was just gonna say, like, I fall into that trap all the time, even though,
All the
like,
time.
my whole fitness brand was about shorter things that are yeah, it's so hard.
Yeah, it's really
"Well,
hard.
just a little more, let's push a little harder," like, ugh, it's so hard.
But those are the sort of the angles that are the most that space where it's hard for us
Mm,
that's the work.
yeah.
Right there sort of tells us, it's like, "Oh," like if we were in a session, like, "Oh, there's something there,"
Mm,
right? There's meat on this bone because you have all the information. It's the internal relationship that you have with yourself that where it, and same for me. I mean, it's not easy, right? So I'm I suffer from all the same
You give
foibles
us
that
tell
come in
us
and out of
as an
our,
example. Like, that's so
so
we can
it's
relate.
really hard. But that is the work. And I think, ultimately that's the game of like, how
Mm,
can I do this long term and how can I create a relationship with myself where, I take care of this vessel while pushing it.
yeah.
Because
Have you seen
so many of us equate recovery with um, all I can think of is things that are gonna get me fired or canceled.
it's I
Like
probably
being soft and easy on ourselves, right?
bubble
Um,
baths.
yeah.
So what's recovery in your mind?
To me, recovery is literally it's paying back the debt of being a highly, um ambitious, energetic, curious person, right? So
Mhm.
for me, when I think about like my primary goal is to be this deeply engaged in material, in my clients, in my work, in all the things that interest me, um, for like another 25 years, right? So the way that I justify it is that if I ran my bank account into debt every single day, I would know the outcome, right? And I sort of have tried to see my energetic spending the same way, like, so to really just like black and white. It's like,
Mm,
if I ride it into debt, it will die on me.
mm,
Even if I'm still alive, I won't have the energy, I won't have cognition, I won't have creativity. Maybe I won't have the same sense of sort of like wonder about things, and all of
mhm,
that would be like a tragedy to
mm.
lose. So that's how I kind of manage it, but even with that, I still, and then I'm
Sure.
like, "Oh, yeah, you're human too. So good." Very sobering, very humbling.
I read a piece, I don't remember who wrote it, I'll have to post it. I read a piece that, this article that Oliver Berkman posted yesterday that said, a lot of us humans think that we're just, like, terrible gods instead of, like, really awesome animals. Like,
Oh,
I
that's
kinda like that.
great. Yeah,
'Cause I think
that's
about that
actually
sometimes.
great. Yes. Yeah, we're fascinating animals, but we
Amazing.
animal.
Yeah, exactly. I like that a lot. Yeah, what I mean, what's one thing? Because you work with a lot of I know you can't say who you work with really, but you work with amazing people and a lot of people over time. What's, how do you see them, like, staying in love with what they do, and what kind of setbacks do they encounter? How do they re-find their passion or curiosity for what they're doing?
That's a great question. Um, 2 things. Um, One is I do feel really fortunate. Most of my clients come and stay.
Mhm.
So, for whatever reason, that's kind of my
You're
jive, right?
pretty
And
cool.
they get on board. So I do get to see people through, a stretch. I would say one thing is they probably don't all the time. Everybody goes like this, right?
Yeah.
And, maybe even more remarkable than, like, always staying, like, quote, "in love with what they're doing," right, is that they just commit to a process, that they
Yeah.
stay committed to that process even when it's high. Because by the way, that's just as intoxicating to go, you know, forget all your values and goals and visions when you're winning and when they're low. And so there's just like a consistency to the process, a commitment to the process. And then I would say for most of the people that I work with, oftentimes reminding themselves of the people and the relationships that they're doing it with and for is a
Mm,
huge source of motivation, which is ironic because many of the people that I work with are um, executives at, Fortune 5 or 100 companies, and we have an interpretation of them often as sort of like maybe even cold and separated from and not very connected. That has not been my experience. My experience is that for the people that work with me, now I have a curated audience, but the people that work for me and with me, they have that's like who they're thinking about constantly. And that becomes a source that they can constantly tap back into when their own sense of energy is
mm,
faltering. And then I would say one other thing, which is this is that starting in 2021, I started to really press executives, in particular C suite executives, on their culture of recovery inside their
mm,
teams and their organizations. Um, and I will say that as their own relationship with this energetic budget that we're talking about has improved, um, so too has the culture
mm,
inside of the teams and the organizations that they lead, and so that's a help. Like you
mm.
see less up and down when
Understand.
when you can consistently create within reason. I mean, companies can't give us everything we want. Um,
Yeah. They're not supposed
right?
to.
Yeah, exactly. That's right. Yeah. So somewhere between that friction is where all the good
Mm,
stuff comes from, right? Um, but yeah, that culture of recovery really helps when if when you are w- feel like you're burning out or you're lacking passion or motivation or all those things, it's possible that you're tired. And it's possible
it is.
it's possible. Like,
Totally.
like people once you have a kid, you realize how true this statement is when you're like, "I think you could just go to sleep and this will all be better tomorrow." Like, that's true a lot of the time. Um, so, double down on your, um, recovery tactics. Double down on sleep, movement, food, hydration, human connection, and usually within a couple of sleep cycles, you'll
Mm,
start to feel yourself again.
mm. Yeah, most of us are just big kids anyway, so
For sure. 100%.
we pretend like we're yeah, it's just like it goes back to like we think we're gods and we don't need this stuff, but of course we do. We're animals and we're just kids.
Yeah. Right, and most of us get to adulthood with huge pockets of our emotional world that are not fully mature. They are not chronologically the same age
So
as
true.
yeah, and those pockets, show up inside adult life. Like, we can't hide them from
So true.
everyone.
I think that's so fascinating. Um, what's lighting you up right now? What are you excited about right now?
Well, right now what's lighting me up that has nothing to do with my work is I have a son who's a junior in high school
Oh
and
wow.
yeah, and so he's 17 and it's been really fun to see the world through his lens lately. 17 contrary to what I thought is a very fun age. So we've been going on college tours and
Mm,
really getting to like think through that phase of his life. So that's sort of lighting me up in the
that's
short
fun.
run. And then inside my work, it's always my clients.
Yeah.
It's just they are my favorite. I say this all the time. But, like I just can't believe that people pay me to do this. Um,
That's the best.
so for me, it's always the clients, right?
Mm,
It's always about that process.
I love it. Okay, last question and I'll let you go. Someone's listening to this and they think they like all what we're saying, but they're not really sure what they're curious about. They don't have a passion. They have no idea what a purpose is. Like, what is like a like a specific action step that they can take, um, to kind of get this started.
Feeling rudderless.
Mm, yep.
Is that this how you're
Feeling
describing this person?
Yeah, or
Rudderless.
languishing. I work with Core Keys, and so there's I like that a lot.
Mhm,
Yeah, but I like rudderless. That's good.
mhm. Um, I would say this. I would say probably abandon the effort to, like, figure it out,
Mm,
okay? Like, just sort of let yourself off the hook. Um, and in that case, I'd probably, like, move frames entirely and just say, "Start something."
mm,
Look, my instinct is I would start, like, a workout thing. That's what I would
mm,
do because that's kind of how I grew up an athlete, so, like, my whole
mm.
world got oriented around, like, we go do physical things when we're unsure about
It's
everything.
helpful.
It's
Same.
helpful. So I'd say, like, maybe do something physical. Get
Mhm.
in the habit of more days than not, like, carving out a reasonable stretch of time, not something so significant you won't do it, um, and just begin changing your relationship with your body. Like, stuckness is in the body a lot of times. It feels like it's here, but it's often just a disconnect between here and here. So, I would probably say relieve yourself of that pressure and go do something physical and keep doing it for, a month. And
Yeah,
then if you're even 1 degree less stuck, keep going. Don't make the mark that at the end of the 30 days, you have to know what your magnus opum's gonna be. Like, you know, make it reason if you're just 1 degree less stuck, keep going.
that is such great advice. I agree so much, and I've felt that in my own life. I mean, that is what I turn to every time, and it doesn't have to be physical, but man, does it help.
Yeah, it doesn't. You could do meditation, great. You could go join a pottery class. By the way,
Mhm.
that's physical.
It
You
is
could go
exactly.
like, you just have to get it's probably that you're stuck in your head. You're trying to solve a thinking problem with a thinking solution. And I would probably try to solve a thinking problem with a neck down solution when I'm that stuck.
That is very wise. Thank you for that.
I'm gonna
I
try to
agree. I'm
remember that
so excited
the
about this
next
answer.
time that I'm stuck.
Exactly. Thank you so much for being here. It's always an honor.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, we'll talk soon.
Yeah, okay.
Bye, everyone.